Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Faith is Motivation podcast. Here on this podcast, we look to inspire people in motivation, finance, fitness, and overall happiness. Let's roll the intro. You don't work on it. You just exist that way. You just exist in a body, in a world where you hate yourself. You are unhappy with the person you are. And instead of changing it, you decide, well, I'm just going to continue living this way because changing it is harder than being a POS.
You should be improving in every possible aspect of life that you can, all at the same time. And then everything comes together and it builds you up as a person just amazingly.
Don't be dishonest with yourself. That's the first step in setting any goal. See yourself where you're at. Say, I am not okay right now. What would make things okay right now?
And we are back. I'm one of your hosts. I am Darian Hawkins. I am a real estate agent. I am a factory worker. I am a podcast host. I am a basketball coach. I have a lot of things going on. If you want to find me, you can find me on most of my social medias at DaHawk40. That's Instagram, Twitter. And then Facebook is Darian Hawkins Realtor. It's only a realtor page that you guys can find me on Facebook at. And let's move it over to Seth.
Seth DeBrulette, podcast host, factory worker with Darian, and aspiring real estate agent. Or upcoming real estate agent plus investor. You can find me on Instagram, just Seth DeBrulette. You can find the spelling on the Faith is Motivation Instagram. I'll pass this over to David. David boy, go.
David Southgate. All my socials right now are personal. I plan to actually make public profiles, so stay in touch for that. And Darian, do we have a guest today?
We do. We do have a guest. It's so he's been on the podcast before, and we're bringing him back. And Franz, go ahead, introduce yourself. Let people know what you're about.
What's going on, guys? It's Franz. On social media, I'm known as GoCardoGo. My car content, you can find me on YouTube at GoCardoGo, Instagram, Facebook, and all that there. On my new tech channel that I'm starting, you can find me under Level Gorilla. I'm an inspiring artist, graphic designer, factory worker, clothing line, shoe line, you name it, art-oriented I have, and I'm here to lend a hand and speak my mind.
Yeah, and obviously you guys can tell that we are sitting in a really wonderful studio, actually. It's really well put together, and this is actually Franz's studio, so he's allowing us to use it. He's allowing us to record our podcast here, so... what you see from our last episode, you saw us kind of sitting in my living room, and now this is obviously a big step up from my living room. So it's something we're very appreciative about. You'll be seeing it a lot more, especially if you check out his content. This is where he's doing everything, right? And the aesthetic is nice. The feeling is nice. The mood is nice. The vibes are nice. So we're really appreciative of that. Our podcast socials, you can find us. We are Faith is Motivation on everything. Our TikTok is going up. We're going to have 1,000 followers on that by the end of next month, which is March. So we will be at 1,000. We're currently at like 620, 625, 627. So that's going up. Our YouTube, go check out our YouTube. We got a lot of content that is about to go up on that, especially since we're getting into the warmer months. So recording is going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot easier for us to do that. So go Faith is Motivation on YouTube. And then Instagram is the only place where we're different. Faith is Motivation POD. Right, so you can find us on Instagram there, which is also another good social media to follow us out. Announcements. So we're still doing a curtain call. We're still wanting, some of our viewers to come on and check us out and see what we're about and come on the show so we can have some topic discussions. Kind of figure out your path, help you out. Maybe you guys have some advice for us, something that you can feed back to us on the podcast. So if you want to do that, just hit us up on our Instagram, Faith is Motivation POD, and then someone will get back to you that's a part of our team. I think that's all I think it's the only announcement we have. Anything you guys can think of?
I don't know if you mentioned, but we're working on our studio too. It's going to be probably a while before it gets set up, but hopefully it's going to be dope. We'll see.
It's like this one.
Yeah. No, we're I think our target right now is October for that, for everything in there, for us to be able to have it like at recording level to where it can be solid and look nice. So we're a couple of months away from that. We're a little while away from that. So that is something. Yeah. So moving on, we're going to start with this question. which I've asked it one time in the past, but I'm going to ask it again because it's something that I think we will be able to continuously answer it from now and throughout the end of time. What have we been doing to better ourselves? And then I guess we'll start with, that's not good. I guess we'll start over here with Franz. Franz, what have you been doing recently to better yourself? Let the guests go first.
Quite a bit. So what I've been doing to better myself is execute ideas that I have. Plan for the most part, but actually execute. As they were just mentioned, the studio, I just got this set up. I've been talking about setting up actual studio for a while. Now I have the space to do it. So I went ahead and did it, and I got it done within a couple of months or so, if that. And it's still growing. So I'm going to utilize this place as a studio for multiple recordings, podcasts, tech reviews, car content, and more. But other than that, I've been just executing all the different plans, ideas, everything that I have going on, and building my financial portfolio has definitely helped do that. So I'm going to keep doing that and just keep that cycle going.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'll go next. I've been hitting the gym hard, and then my real estate is starting to move again. So really sourcing clients, and then I just rebuilt my budget for this year. So I did it at the beginning of the year, and now money's kind of flowing actually a little smoother than originally, but I've been spending a little more, so I'm kind of restructuring my budget so that I can get back on my plan because, obviously my goal is by the end of this year, early next year to get my first investment property. I want my first rental.
That's actually the same for me. I'm trying to get my first investment property like beginning of next year, at least after my birthday in February. I've also been going to the gym. I've been making changes to my routine, going on more like of a more cutting routine now, and trying to do more cardio, different types of cardio. So like 3 days a week is just pretty much full body workouts, and then the rest of the days is just cardio except for Sunday. I'll have Sunday as a rest day, and I'm trying to get back on with my diet because I need to eat a little bit more than I was currently. So yeah, I'm just making a little bit of changes. Got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of work to do with real estate as well. Just trying to get on it. David?
Let's see. I would say right now what I'm doing to make improvements would be I work for a company just in distribution, driving usually, and delivering goods out to job sites. And I'm trying to move that from a nearby city down to the city I actually live, down in Richmond. Because when I did my budget and with the job opening being there, as long as my pay wouldn't be cut, which they said it wouldn't, then that would free up a lot of money that I would be spending on gasoline, fuel, and basically giving myself a raise in my monthly budget. And that's kind of my main focus right now. They've got to find somebody to replace me at my current position so I can take the new position, which is annoying, and most of it's out of my control. So really I'm just looking elsewhere for other things within my control, taking care of my living space, trying to develop a routine where I can maintain just my life in general, trying to build the routine that's going to last throughout the next couple years of physical fitness, just cleanliness, keeping up after myself, which I've neglected doing.
Same.
Like you get so caught up in life and you don't have energy. And so
we all have those times.
Like a lot of these guys, I would argue from my perspective, you guys got your stuff together and I'm over here digging the foundation out. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff takes time. And I'll go ahead and attest to this, that you're actually like making steps and making strides and attempting. That's more than 98% of people, right? Like you're actually taking strides and you're actually improving. So now that that's out the way, today's topic, we're talking about adversity. Very serious topic. I think that if you're looking at being successful, if you're looking at growing, adversity is needed, and that's something we're going to get into. And then I think a lot of people are afraid of adversity. That's something we'll probably touch, and then we'll kick it off. David, go ahead, give us the definition because you're our new definition guy.
That's why I wear the glasses. I'm the nerd. Actually, it's because of astigmatism. The Merriam-Webster definition of adversity is a state or instance of serious or continued difficulty or misfortune. Also described as opposition, hostility, misfortune, or hardship.
I would say that kind of describes it pretty well. I think we can all go a little bit more in depth with it. I think there's going to be adversity in pretty much anything in life almost. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be something that's pushing against what you're trying to push forward. Good things, bad things. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of bad with adversity, but I think it builds you, of course, and it's needed, as Darian said.
Adversity, I love it. I think honestly, I've reached this point to where if there's not something I struggle with, then I feel as if I'm not doing anything, as if I'm not moving, right? I feel like I embrace struggle, I embrace hardship, I embrace trial. I intentionally try to put myself in a position to where I'm working for something. And if I don't struggle for it, then it's not going to be valuable, right? So when you think of the hard things in life, when you think of things that are valuable, the reason they're valuable is because they're hard to obtain, is because there's adversity in obtaining those things, right? If everybody could be in shape, if everybody could have a lot of money, if everybody could become a CEO, could run their business, could wake up early, if everybody could do these things and it wasn't hard to do, you wouldn't admire people who do these things, right? There would be no value attached. So adversity creates value. So adversity is essentially what gives something value to me. Therefore, if you're not struggling, understand it's not going to be important to you.
So you'd say that gives life value to you?
100%.
Because I've heard it said before that if life were a utopia and everything was absolutely perfect, somebody would break something just so something could happen.
Yeah, probably.
I mean,
like
we live for the struggles that we voluntarily accept, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
I like what you said, though, like how you said, embrace it. If you look at your bank account and there was $1 million you're looking at right now and you worked for that, you're going to feel way better, way more accomplished than if you just scratched off a lottery ticket. It's way better if you really worked for it.
Absolutely. To add on to what you said, I think adversity is a necessity because it's almost like it's pretty much what you said, but I think of it in terms of you really need adversity because that's what actually makes you stronger and better as a person through whatever you're trying to do. Just an example, a lot of people, have dreams and goals of getting to that goal or whatever it may be. But to me, it's the journey you're taking to get to that goal. That's what makes you who you are, essentially. Because if you don't have those struggles, you don't have those battles, those adversities that you have through life, financial, whatever it may be. If you can get through those, that's what makes you a better person, and you're better equipped for that next battle that's similar to that. Versus if you're a person who has never had to struggle, never had to go through hardships to get to a higher point or that point that you're at, you'll never know how to actually get there unless you have gone through those adversities. So, like what Darian and you guys were saying, I embrace those. And I look at it like, okay, it's a challenge. Let me see how I can get through this. And if I can get through this, which I'm going to push myself to get through to it, then I know I'm going to be in a better place regardless. And again, one of the key things you just said was when you actually get through those points and you're at a higher point, you're like, okay, I really appreciate everything that I have or whatever it is, the $1 million, nice cars, house, business, you appreciate it that much more because you actually went through the actual hard work, the adversities to get to it versus, a silver spoon kid or someone who just got a company just given to them and they never actually worked to get to it. They won't appreciate it as much as someone who actually built it up to get to it, if that makes sense.
The sight from the mountaintop makes a great picture, but what makes it sweet is that you climb the mountain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. It's like, so, and I think Inky Johnson touched something. I think it was him that touched this when he talked about a lot of people out here, you have stuff, but you don't care for it.
Exactly.
There's no value. Oh, so I grew up in $1 million household where my parents they bought me a car, right? They paid for my college, right? And anytime I struggled in college, they helped me through it. And they every obstacle that they faced, there was something there. There was some type of safety net there to catch them, to hold them up. So they never actually faced that adversity. So now they don't appreciate anything, right? So now when things come in, they're not even fighting to keep these things, right? Like when I look at everything I have, I fight to keep everything I have. I don't want to lose nothing. I drive a '09 Chevy Cobalt. I fight to keep that. I love it. I love it. But here's the thing. There's a lot of sentimental value to it, right? I slept in that
Reminder of the
car.
struggle.
I slept in that car, right? There's value. It was there through my adversity. There's value attached to that. One thing that I've actually had issues with in the past, and not so much in the house I lived in, but in previous apartments of mine, when people would just show up randomly and walk in, I always hated that. Or when people would change things around, and I always hated that because in my head it was like, yo, I worked for this, even if it's something minor. I worked for this, right? That's why I have such a low disrespect tolerance, because the person I've become, I've become a person where, okay, I've worked for what I have. Why would I allow someone to disrespect me? Why would I allow someone to bullshit me? Why would I allow someone to treat me in a certain way? Because I've worked to become the person I've become. I had to go through adversity, right? That's why I view everything I have as valuable. That's why everything is valuable to a person or to people, right? No one wants to hear the story of the guy who got handed everything. Everybody wants to hear the story of the guy who struggled. If you struggled for it, there's more value, there's more respect, there's more love, there's more passion, there's more everything with adversity.
Nobody relates to a character written with all the superpowers and all the right answers and just could never do wrong. We hate that character.
That's why we love Batman.
Just to add on to what you said, if you notice what you guys are saying, the common denominator there is everyone focuses on the story, not the ending. They want to focus on the actual story. How did that person get to that ending? And that's the actual goal. Just like you said earlier as well. If someone is just handed a company, you're like, oh, okay. But if you hear that someone struggled, you hear their story, you're like, okay, that's more appealing. Because
they actually came over from overseas.
Exactly.
They built up their business from nothing. Now they have a huge multi-restaurant chain across the country.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of times what I think from me, I study a lot of psychology. So I think what it is psychologically, a lot of people rather hear the stories because they want to figure out a way to subconsciously or consciously relate to it. And then put their perspective on it, like, okay, I can do that. This person came from a similar position I did. So if they can do it, I can do it. So it almost gives you hope to hear the adversity from other people. So I think adversity is necessary because not even for yourself, for other people to hear your adversities is necessary. Because if you don't ever have that, you'll never give hope to other people, and you'll never show other people that, yes, you can actually fight through your battles, whatever your battles are. And it's the same thing for you. So adversity is definitely needed. Definitely. In most cases. Yeah.
It's also very important to keep in mind that adversity is something you can conquer. It is something you can beat. And then I can tell a lot by a person, by the types of struggles they went through and how they responded. Because I stand by this, right? Once you're an adult, your reality is going to be constructed by how you respond to your adversities, right? So I'll give you an excuse if you're 15 living with your parents. I'll give you an excuse if you're 17 living with your parents. But when you're 18 and you're out of your parents' house, okay, you don't have an excuse.
Right.
Don't come to me at 22 and say, well, I'm in this position because my father left and my mom was strung out and I did. Like, don't give me those excuses.
Right.
Because you can overcome that. You've been out of that house for how long? 4 years, 4 or 5 years at this point. You've been on your own for how long? Why is that still holding you back? Why are you allowing this adversity to carry 4 years into your adulthood? Okay. You have to figure out a way to conquer that. You have to figure out a way to overcome that, right? Like, stop using that as an excuse. Stop using that as a crutch. Stop using that as whatever it is in your head. Stop using that.
It's almost a subconscious position of comfort, if that makes sense. If you're comfortable where you are, but you're still thinking to yourself, you want to grow and be somewhere else, you need to get to a place where you're uncomfortable. I think that's the best place to be if you want to grow. You want to get out of your comfort zone, as you always hear. People like that, they get in a place to take self-pity and almost
refuse to take responsibility for
Exactly.
their lives.
Exactly.
And for the things that are under their care, their jurisdiction.
Yeah. And they gain comfort in just in that position of, oh, woe is me, well, I'm here because of this. That's the end of my story. No, that's not the end of your story. Become self-aware of where you are and continue to grow. Go through that actual adversity. Yes, you're here because of this happened. Well, you're here and that happened, but that's not really connected. How are you going to get through where you are and get to where you want to be? That's the goal. Get to where you want to be, no matter what the adversity is. Everyone's going to go through struggles, no matter how hard or simple it is. You got to push through it. It's needed. That's going to only help you grow, because once you get past it, you're in a better position. There are people that don't get past those positions in their lives or just quit. You're still here, so you still have room to grow.
Yep.
We have told people this so much. We've told them so much that being comfortable is bad. Like, being comfortable is not good. It's not a good thing. No. And we always get like the stupidest responses, like, "What do you mean being comfortable is bad? Being comfortable is the best thing ever."
And now look at you guys. You're on a couch. What do you mean comfort's bad? You're on a couch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But yeah, it's like being comfortable is bad. Like, if you never hop out of that comfort zone, like Franz was saying, then you're never gonna see what's behind that curtain. Like, there's things you need to do. There's always something you should be chasing.
And another thing we've touched in the past that I think we need to address, that I think we need to talk about, is accountability.
Yeah.
Accountability, right? So when we're talking about your adversities and we're talking about, well, I'm here because this, or I'm here because of that, or I'm here because of whatever, right? It's not accountability until you admit, I'm here because I.
Exactly.
Right? It's always you. It's always on you. And I talk about having absolute accountability, and I talk about how no matter what happens, I find a way to make it my fault.
Exactly.
I find a way to make it my fault.
And that's their comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah. Because if it's not my fault, then I can't help it. I can't change it.
The author of the Gulag Archipelago, I forget his name, Jordan Peterson references a lot in his talks. It was written by a guy who was in a World War II prison camp, like under Stalin. Mm-hmm. And instead of blaming Stalin and Hitler, someone that, you could definitely say, oh, well, they had a big hand in how I ended up in this prison. He instead reflected inward and said, how did I contribute to me being here? What were things that I could have done differently? What are things that I will do differently if I ever get out of here?
Yeah, and like that's such a big thing to me. That's such a huge thing to me, because it's like, until you look in the mirror and say, wow, I've made a lot of mistakes, until you look in the mirror and say, wow, I've made a lot of mistakes, then you're not going to be able to get better. When you face adversity, the only way you learn from adversity is by being honest with yourself about that adversity.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to you have to have that accountability. It has to be there. It has to be there. Like, stop making these. I hate it when someone's 25, 30 years old and it's something in their past. Well, I can't do this because I need money. I need da 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 da. Well, if you need it, you got to go get it.
Yeah.
No one's going to get it for you. No one gives a shit enough to go to your house, wake you up, pull you out of bed, say, okay, let's go to work. Okay, you leaving work. Okay, now let's work on your side hustle. Okay, now let's go to the gym. Let's learn how to. No one cares enough. No one's going to do it for you.
Nobody holds your hand after you learn to walk.
That's right. and think about this the next time you come across someone who speaks that way. So if they come to you and tell you, well, I'm here because of this, as rude as it may sound, find a nicer way to say, okay, now what? Where do you want to be? Now what? Like, yes, you're here, your dad left you, or mom, whatever it may be. Now what? I guarantee you a lot of times they'll sit there like, well, I never thought about that. They don't think that far forward. Their story stops where that excuse is. And it's like, you have much more than that.
Yep.
You're much more than that. You need to go further than that. If you whatever faith you're in, pray more, or whatever it may be. Focus any way you can get yourself past where you are. Just like you guys were pointing out, that self-realization is key. You need to understand your role in anything. Okay, even if you didn't have a role in whatever your past may have been, you have a role right now to moving forward. Whatever happened to you then, it's not currently happened to you. So now what? What are your next steps? What do you want to do? What is it going to take for you to get there?
And what are the things in your way that you have to face?
Exactly. What's
What are the
stopping you from
monsters
getting
that
there?
you don't want to face?
Exactly.
That have been there and have grown due to your negligence and not having your attention on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like I'm digging out my foundation, in comparison to others. You shouldn't compare yourself to others, but to yourself in the past. I know that, but I'm human and I'm a man. So we always compare ourselves to other men. That's just how we're wired. But that's why I feel like I'm so far behind, is because I have been negligent and not giving attention to the things that I didn't want to face, to the adversities that I decided were bigger than me and were not able to be conquerable. That's the word.
Now, this is Inky Johnson. You do not judge the qualities of a man by how he acts in times of comfort. You judge the qualities of a man by how he responds in struggle and adversity. Right? Adversity is going to tell us it's going to tell the world who you are. Okay? If you're someone that faces struggles, that faces trials, that faces adversity, and you roll over and take it, that says a lot about your character. I don't give a damn how happy you are. Oh, but life's going great. Life's perfect. Oh, my finances are in order. I don't give a, you're going to be a great,
nice.
Yeah. You're going to be a great person in those times. You're going to be nice. You're going to be courteous. Life's going great. Right. But when life gets hard,
What are you going to do?
Who are you?
Yeah.
Right. That's how you judge a man. That's how you judge someone's qualities. Adversity molds the person.
That's very true. Even with the things that I've done, I still get adversity. I still get people, as a lot of people on the internet would say, haters. They come to me, oh, mommy and daddy gave you your money, or you didn't work for that, or you had it easy.
You didn't wrap your own car.
Yeah, I didn't wrap my own car, or I got the stuff off of eBay. And the first thing I always think is character. Just like he said, character is key. Even on social media, character is key. And a lot of times I tell people, those who know me understand things. And, I tell them the truth in a nice way and explain to them, no, I work for what I got. Or, no, my sponsors actually sent me this. Or, whatever it may be. But at the same time, I always tell those same people, you're displaying your character to the world right now. And they don't realize what I'm telling them is very valid. People are watching, and especially on social media, people are aware of how you act and what you put out on social media. That shows people your character via, what you choose to give attention to. And to me, that adversity is you got to know how to navigate through life, social media or real life. You're always going to have that adversity. You're always going to come across those negative people at work, online, in real life, at your wherever it may be. You're going to come across the adverse person. So adversity is not always a social construct necessarily. It can be a physical person or situation. So that molds the crap out of you. You have to know how to navigate through the adversity. If you can't navigate, you can't grow.
What would you say to a person who said, okay, well, I've faced some adversities, but some are so big, and if I'm always going to have adversity, what do I do? What's the point?
What I would say to someone who comes to me with that is, you're still here. You're here. As long as you're here, figure out a way. There's a way around whatever big adversity you have. I've had plenty and still have plenty of big adversities. And my whole mindset with it is, okay, it's there. That's an adversity. That's an obstacle. I need to figure out a way around it. Even if it's going to take time. A lot of people have this thing to where they think, oh, it's something that's going to be quick. No, some adversities take time. You got to learn to continuously navigate right. Even if you fall off your rocker a little bit, take a couple steps back. Keep continuing to navigate through it. Like I said earlier, part of getting to your goal, or the biggest part of getting to your goal, is the journey. You have to know how to navigate to get to your goal. If it was a perfect utopia, like you guys said, then it wouldn't matter. But I think what builds your character, builds you as a person, is learning how to get through those adversities, no matter how big or small. Like I said, again, some people may look at me like I'm successful, some may not. Whatever it may be, I'm human. I still have adversities. I still have tons of adversities. But my whole thing is, okay, I need to get past this. I'm here. I need to focus on this. For example, I just had a younger brother who passed in Jacksonville. Killed, mentally, socially draining and all that. If you ever had a relative, whatever, it passed. But I'm still here. I'm still trying to figure out ways to navigate through, hurt like that and things like that. So adversity is always going to be there. It's just learning how to navigate through it.
Do you think that you're a strong enough man to face an adversity that big or that deep because of the adversities that you chose to take up in your past?
I think so. Here's an example, and I'm not knocking anyone who does this. So a lot of people, you've always heard of people who face adversities with, for example, like what I was explaining with death in the family, and they turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol, they turn to things like that. Me growing up, I've seen things like that, and I've always watched and studied how people are in situations like that. Just like you said, it's not the good times. You focus on, I would say to you all watching too, focus on people who are going through adversities and see how they're navigating through those tough times, and then correlate that with your life. So for me, I would say basically, like, in my personal struggles, I've seen people go through, rough times, and they turn to drugs, turn to this, turn to that. I made a choice and became so aware of myself not to go through those, because I thought to myself, a path. So if someone died in my family, if I turn to drugs and alcohol, am I going to get to my goals? No, then I don't do that. If I turn to, being destructive, am I going to get to my goals? No, don't do that. Go another way. So that's kind of how I look at the paths. If these streets are not yielding me fruit from what I need in my life, then I'm not going down those streets. I need to stay on this street. Stay on the streets that lead you to where you need to be. And you're going to have adversities within that, where you're going to be like, okay, well, those streets that are going to lead to drugs or alcohol, wherever it may be, those streets are nicely paved. It'll be an easy travel for me. And that street that's going to lead to my goal is bumpy, and there's potholes. You're going to have that in life, if you see what I mean. So go down those streets. Go down that adverse street. You got to learn to push through it, if that makes sense with you guys. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Who was it? Robert Frost or something, a poet, that said, two roads diverged in a yellow wood, but I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Yep.
It's because everyone else takes the nice smooth road.
Exactly.
But those who want to pioneer a way forward, they're the ones that actually get a taste of what life is about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Franz. When people come to you and they say, well, you didn't do that, or you couldn't have done that, what is your what is your emotional response? Like, what do you think about, like, personally? How do you take that?
So when someone, I get that a lot still to this day. A lot of people are, you know, you don't do this, you don't do that, you can't do this, you don't do, like, I get that all the time. So my personal response is, or my mentality first is, okay, they don't know. They assume things come easy. That's my first mental thought is, okay, this person assumed things come easily. Then I explain to them, no, I go through struggles just like you did. The only difference between me and you is I chose to work harder at it. That's literally it. And that goes for everything. Everything that I've learned on my own. I chose to learn on my own. I didn't stop. A lot of people stop their path. So for me, I just look at it as a teachable moment. That's really how I look at it, because I explain to people. I over-explain almost how you get to where you are, or what I did to get to where I am, and just to try to convey to them, okay, I did it. I go through struggles just like you. I'm human. You can actually do this too. And some people I've gotten through to, some people whatever, and they have it stuck in their head. You know, no, he didn't do this. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. And they just refuse to acknowledge, almost to themselves, that it's easier than I think it is to get to where I want to be. And that's how I really look at it. It's easier. It's not easy. It's easier than people think to get to where they need to be.
It's simpler.
Yeah, it's simpler. So, yeah.
I think most people think that way.
Yeah.
Most people don't, like, they don't realize how far they can go, or they don't care, or I don't know, man.
I think it's like we touched on earlier. They stay in that place of comfort. And it's not necessarily comfortable all the time for them.
It's familiar.
It's familiar to them. So that place of the unknown, the unfamiliar, that's where you're going to grow. If you learn how to navigate through the unfamiliar, or the rough roads and things like that. So people are afraid. Yes, everyone, even for me, I'm afraid to take certain steps, but I take it with the mindset of, okay, it may fail, but I'm going to keep going until it succeeds. That's the key. Keep going until it succeeds, no matter what. Expect adversity. That's how I look at things. Always expect adversity. Don't assume things are going to be easy, because if you do, once something cracks, something breaks, you're like, oh, nope, didn't work, so forget this. No, that's not how you look at it. Just keep going.
I've heard it argued that purpose is found by facing adversity, by facing your struggles, and taking responsibility head on. When the Knights of the Round Table went out to find the Holy Grail, they went into the entrance of the forests that surrounded the kingdom at the darkest point to them. So the individual, does this look like the darkest point? And then they went that way.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they obviously never found it, but that's where you start, is when you sit down, you tell your brain, my life isn't how I want it to be. There are so many things on my mind and it's all overwhelming. What should I tackle? The first thing will pop up, and it will be something that you don't want to face.
Right.
I mean, for me, I'm struggling with possibly picking a new career, because I've just been in a limbo so long, doing a 9-to-5, and I feel myself dying because I'm
you're
not
going to a
living
place.
for a purpose. I'm not accepting the responsibility of my life. I've done my job and done it well, but there's no spark in it. There's nothing driving me forward.
Change is scary. Change is scary for everybody.
Absolutely.
Why do you think that is? Why do you guys think change is so scary to
as humans, we're wired. We are wired for comfort, especially society. Continues to wire us for comfort, because a lot of people may not know this or want to hear this, but if you're comfortable in a 9-to-5, let's say, they want to make you so comfortable that you stay there. You're going to stay in that 9-to-5. What's that going to do? It's going to kill your dream. Whatever goals you have, like, imagine you wanted to be a multimillionaire, you want to run a business. So if you get so comfortable in a 9-to-5 that your dream just fades away, you ever going to follow that dream? Probably not. Or it's going to be harder for you to even get out of that mindset. That's going to be a road that you got to get out of that mindset of being comfortable there. Because once you become so comfortable in any position or even mindset, it's going to be hard for you to get out of. Like, you really got to push through that.
And time goes on, so one day you wake up and you're in your mid-30s.
Yep. And you start to get those regrets.
Just graduated yesterday out of high school.
Yeah.
I see fear as extremely irrelevant. Like,
Really?
I do this, and I do this with a lot of like emotion. It's almost irrelevant to the point to where, like, okay, so I'm afraid of this.
You just think fear is all smoke and mirrors, so
Yeah.
since it doesn't have any material body, it's not something to actually be afraid of.
Yeah, I mean,
Something without power over you.
I don't know. It's like, okay, so I'm afraid to do this, but I have to do this to get to where I need to get to.
Exactly.
So why does it even matter? I'm still going to do it. Yeah.
It's called courage.
Yeah.
Would you
Like-
say you fear failure then?
I'm
Someone who's really
So-
successful is afraid of failure because that pushes them to succeed.
Yes.
so here see, because even that, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm afraid of failure on like a major scale. I'm scared of like hitting the bottom, therefore I'm always running away. But I'm not afraid to fail at trying something. Right. Well, I guess I'm afraid, but it's like, I don't care, right? Like, I'm going to do this. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. I'll figure out another way, right? So I'll take this step. Okay, so I take this step and then I fall into a deep pit. Okay, well, I fell into a deep pit. Now I need to get myself out.
So you would say that you've practiced perseverance.
Yeah,
And it's probably one of your major tools.
yeah, 100%.
I think that's what practice in essence is. You're literally failing and failing and failing and failing until you succeed.
Chipping away at the adversity.
Literally, yeah. I do the same thing with my younger kids now with everything that they do. Even when they started reading, hey, Dad, I can't read it. Keep trying, keep trying. Or if they're playing a video game, Dad, I can't get past this part. For example, my son couldn't play any racing games, and then or he wasn't good at it, and I just kept telling him to try it. Keep trying, keep trying. Now he can drift with the best of them and do all that. And what I always make a point to tell him, and what everyone else should take heed to, is when you're doing something, you're continuously failing, learn from those failures. That's how you get better. You literally learn from those failures. And if you're not learning from failures and you just fail and stop, you never succeeded. It's the same thing with everyone. Michael Jordan, it's the same thing. He took 1,000 shots, millions of shots in practice. He's gotten better at it. He was better at it. He became one of the best players to ever do it. So everyone goes through failures. People have failed businesses, failed relationships, and things like that. But the point is to go through it, go through those adversities, and learn from it. That's the key thing. Learn from it. You're going to have failures, but the thing is, you got to learn. Train yourself psychologically, mentally. If it's information, if a business failed, well, look at it like, okay, why did my business fail? How do I make sure the next one doesn't fail? And keep going. Same thing with relationships. Same thing with everything that you do. Learn from it. Take it as a learnable, teachable moment. So
It's funny that you mentioned that with your kids, because my dad did the same thing to me.
Yeah.
He taught me how to play guitar,
Yeah.
and he would play in church, and he would finger pick like some special music sometimes other than just rhythmically strumming. And I said, Dad, I want to learn how you do that. How'd you do that? And so he showed me some simple little picking pattern with like the D chord. Yeah. It was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he would tell me to speed it up, and I just couldn't get it. I said, Dad, I can't do it. It's too hard. And he gave me the good dad speech of, you got to keep trying, and, you'll eventually get it. That's just what practice is you fail and you fail and you fail until you get it. Yep. And one day it's just going to click. Yep. The next morning, he tells me goodbye because he's going into work and going to go grade papers or whatever. And I'm sitting there with my guitar watching Saturday morning cartoons. I said, Dad, wait. He said, what? I started playing it really fast and switching chords at the same time. Yeah. So I had already jumped ahead of that level because what I originally assumed was too hard for me was actually just a little more practice away from being a conquerable adversity.
Exactly.
So going in a little more in detail about adversity, right? So we kind of talked about pre-recording about the 3 different types of adversity a person can face. Mm-hmm. So let's kind of dive into like our first our first one, which is person versus person, right?
Well, with that, there's always going to be people who are going to look down on you, who are going to hate, like you said, haters earlier. We've said this like multiple times that hate doesn't come from above, but there's always going to be people that'll knock you down or try to stop you from what you're doing or judge you, but you can't let that really affect you when all they're trying to do is put you down, because a lot of times they want to be where you're at and they hate that. They hate that you're doing better than them, and they knock you down, and you can't let that affect you. You can't let that decide how you're supposed to act next.
Yeah, I mean that phrase, hate never comes from above, and they only talk behind your back because you're too far ahead of them. Right?
I think what a lot of that is psychologically is it's mostly subconscious to me, is they want to be where you are, or they want to be not necessarily where you are, but as successful in a sense that you are, and they can't understand how they're not where they want to be and you're where you want to be. Like, oh, that's not fair. How there has to be some trick or some easy route that he got to. He didn't face any adversity.
It's solipsism, the inability to understand the world from someone else's point of view to an extreme degree. It's solipsism. It has to be easy because I can't do it if it wasn't easy.
Exactly.
So it has to be easy for him. Like how else does he do it?
A lot of times on social media, when someone comes to me with the hate, I get to a psychological level, like, okay, I get it. And I'll tell them something may have happened to you in your life where you're choosing to lash out on social media, but don't do that. Like, be a better, I literally tell them, be a better person. I get it. And I'll step away from whatever conversation we're having and tell them, hey, you can do whatever you're trying to do in life. You don't need to do all this trying to be the funny guy on social media and just bashing and all this. You don't even know me. You don't know me. So this isn't really about me. It's about you conveying your character or lashing out on social media. Be a better person. I try to inspire people in that route, and some of them will turn that around and say, oh, this guy's trying to be holier than thou. No, I'm not. You're just trying to find a label to put me in instead of facing yourself. Yeah. Instead of facing yourself, you want to label me and just leave it at that, or try to crack a joke. And it's interesting seeing people's characters. So I don't take it like, oh man, this person's hating on me. Darn. I look at it like that person's hurting and they're choosing social media to lash out. I really hope they do better in life. That's how I look at it.
Have you guys heard David Goggins talk about taking souls?
Maybe.
In one of his Hell Weeks, he was part of Boat Crew 2, and they're in the middle of Hell Week. Everybody's tired, everybody's exhausted, and they have to carry this big freaking boat in the water above like their heads, and they're being squished by its own weight, and their legs are tired, and the instructors are all sitting up there with their jackets and their gloves and their hot coffee. You know, they're doing great, and they're looking down, thinking about themselves in that position. They're like, yeah, that's exactly how I felt too. I felt like hell.
Yeah.
And I did not want to be there either. And David Goggins sees this and he gets mad. And so he tells his guys, because he's his boat crew chief, he says, we're about to shoulder press this boat. So they're going to take their boat and they're going to lift it up and down a bunch of times. And they're going to scream, can't hurt boat crew too. He's like, we're about to take some we're about to take some souls, boys. Yeah. And it works because as they're hooting, hollering, you can't hurt boat crew too. You know, this is like Thursday in Hell Week. Everyone should be exhausted, should be defeated by now. And he looks up at the officer's face and you just see they're drained. Because when they put themselves through that before, they said, there's no way I have that energy. Yeah. There's no way I have that enthusiasm, that power. Like, what are they doing? Yeah. How are they built like that? Other people, when you try to self-improve, can get in the way. Even in your own household, they can say, why are you doing that? And it's because you taking on your own personal challenge then invites them to look at themselves. And they don't want to look at themselves. So they're going to see you doing better, and they're going to say, hey, why are you cleaning up your room? Yeah. Hey, why are you always showing up 15 minutes early to work? Like, because I'm 5 minutes late every day. That makes me look bad. What are you doing?
Exactly. It's almost a way to justify, or they're trying to justify their position at where they are by chastising you, for example, or something like that. So you're gonna always face that, guys. No matter what you do, you're gonna face adversity. So
let's talk about person versus person in this aspect, because I truly believe that life is competitive. I truly believe that life is competitive. If you're going after it, so if you're going after it, someone else is going after it. If you're going for that job, someone else is going for that job. If you're going for that sale, someone else is going for that sale. So obviously there's going to be the people trying to pull you down. But what about the people you're in direct competition with, right? So you see this person, oh, well, they're a better talker than me. They're in better shape than me. They've been doing it longer. How do you respond to that?
it goes back to what I was saying. How continue learning. How much do you want it? So what's the difference? That's the same thing as saying what's the difference between me and Kobe Bryant if we're both playing basketball. He chose to work harder every day. He chose to keep learn every in and out, every nook and cranny of that basketball, that gym, everything to business. So even in terms of, for example, a real estate agent that you're going against, I would say just go harder. Even though you don't know how hard he's going at his job, go harder. Understand everything about your client, if it's a specific client you're going after, even down to the point of what socks they like. Learn as much as you can, understand your field as much as you can, because that's the only thing that sets you apart. To me, that's the only thing that sets you apart from anyone else. It's literally who knows more, but who's hungrier for what the goal is. Who's hungrier?
I think you apply that to kind of a David Goggins mentality to where, okay, if I'm going to go after this.
I'm out here in 98 degree in the sun in July.
Yeah,
with my shirt off.
It's
jogging down the highway. It's because you're not.
it's literally a mentality of, if I'm going to go after this, I'm going to go so relentlessly. I'm going to dedicate so much time. I'm going to go so ferociously that there's no way in hell that you can beat me.
Exactly.
Right. And it's not a thing where it's like, oh, well, you're up here, and so I got to surpass. No, it's like, well, you're up here, but I have to be better. I have to go here. Right. You have to have that competitive mindset. And I tell it to people all the time. If you want to go one-on-one against me, I'm going to win. Right. I might not win the first time. I might not win the second. It might take me a while. I might need to work. I might need to practice. I might need to prepare, but I'm going to win. And then you guys kind of see it with like the podcast stuff. I'm always upgrading equipment. I'm always taking notes. I'm always trying to figure out how can we get better. I'm looking at our quality. I'm like, I want to be perfect. I want to be the best. I want to go hard. I want to dedicate so much time to it and learn about it so much that we have to be the best. There's no other choice.
That's literally, for me, that's with everything, with my art. When I'm graphic designing, I'm constantly, literally, if I'm in the kitchen eating some food, or I'm working on another project, I'll turn on YouTube and just research other people who are doing what I'm doing. And I'm learning, picking bits and pieces. It's literally like that with everything that you do. That's why Kobe Bryant is one of my favorite players. Yes, he's great at basketball, but his work ethic is almost unmatched. Even Michael Jordan is like, this guy. That's my biggest thing that I love. It's like, you have to get to a point. If you want something, you got to be relentless. Just like you said, that is so true. So true. And it goes with every avenue of whatever you're doing in life, relationship-wise, business-wise, any goals you want. You need to go hard at it and understand, like I said, adversity will be there, but go hard at it.
Yeah,
Push through it.
And be perspicacious. And I know it gets sometimes overwhelming when you have to compare yourself to other people. But, when I first became a real estate agent, the very first thing I did was look at other real estate agents that's been doing it, and I might see this guy and like, whoa, like, look where he is. He's here. Okay. And then I'm looking up at this other real estate agent like, wow, I'm here. He's here. And it's a long gap, but I have to do that because when I see that he's here, okay, how did he get there?
That's the key.
What does he do?
That's the key that you just said. when people look at other people, they never, like when you get haters, they never look at how did he get there to like in a critiquing manner. If you want to get somewhere, look at how that person got there. The same thing with me, like when I was doing my graphic designing, my arts, and people were like, how do you draw so good? When I watch Disney movies and Pixar movies and The Matrix, I don't just look at the movie like, man, that movie was good. I look at who is the CGI director, who's the art director. Okay, how did they get to where they are? What school did they go to? What teachings do they have? Do they have any documentaries out there I can watch to understand their upbringing and almost compare it to mine, or see where I can persevere from understanding their mentalities. Like you got to stay forever in the mindset of learning to like you said, relentlessly learn everything you can about everything that you want to aspire to. If you want to be like in your position, you're going for a different position, look at someone similar in a similar position, understand them, speak to them, go out with them. It may seem awkward, but I guarantee you're going to learn so much more. Like, oh, this is actually easier than I thought, or this is more relatable than I thought to actually get to that point. So,
yeah, going into that, like you were saying earlier, learn from all your own mistakes and stuff. Yeah. Like as you're saying, like I think it can be even better at times, or even more important to learn from other people's adversity and other people's mistakes, and that can help you grow heavily.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things, that perspicacity of understanding other people and understanding how they got there, even though they're your competition. Mm-hmm. That understanding is what's going to help you catch up with them. That's what's going to help you close that gap, right? Like everything I see somebody do, if they're in a higher position, I study it. In some ways, I try to mimic it, right? If I'm listening to Eric Thomas, or I'm listening to David Goggins, or I'm listening to whoever, I try to mimic their speaking patterns, try to mimic the way they speak. I try to mimic the way they live, right? I try to do the things that they do so that I can close the gap between me and them, right? So a lot of people, they look at people above them and they get intimidated and they get scared and they back down. Well, now you lost, right? And that's how you become a hater. That's how you start doing that talk where they couldn't get there because, or they're only there because of this. And now that you start, doing all that thing.
Almost trying to justify subconsciously why you didn't go through that adversity of being fearful, being scared.
100%. And remember, hate never comes from above. You only talking behind their back because they're too far ahead, right? Don't do either one of those things, right? And then transitioning into our next topic, our next area of adversity, person versus environment, which I think we've touched here and there, but I just want to go into a little bit more detail of that. Does anyone want to start off?
Person versus environment. Big example. Darian's car broke down. It was pouring rain.
That's person versus vehicle.
Darian walked to the gym.
I remember that.
Gym, and he sent us a video, and he was like, "You guys are."
Some of y'all can't even get to the gym, and I'm out here walking. I don't even have my headphones on. I'm out here in silence.
Like he was dogging the other people who don't go to the gym at all, and he was like, "Look at you! You guys are lazy." I can't.
And it's starting to rain.
I can't say all the words he says.
Real life, y'all.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'll go into that. I remember that day. So I've said it on the podcast before, and I'll say it again. I speak to these guys. I hold these guys to such a high standard. I speak to these guys way worse than anything I've ever said on the podcast. I'll tell you guys that right now. And I know sometimes I get emotional and I get passionate, but I've these guys, because they understand it, right? And we talked about it on our last podcast about how our social circle, they understand it always comes from a place of love. But I remember that my car broke down and I needed to go to the gym because I told myself, okay, I'm going to the gym 6 days a week, no excuses, right? Unless the world was about to blow up, I'm going to the gym, right? So it was raining. My car was broke down. I was walking to the gym. And at this time, I was just now starting to inspire these guys like, okay, you need to go to the gym. And then there's other people in our circle that haven't been able to go. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to send them a video of me walking to the gym. So I remember I sent this video and I was like, it's like 40 degrees. It's raining. It's pouring fucking rain. And I'm still going to the fucking gym. And you guys can't even drive to the gym. And I was really in their ass on it. So yeah, that's that story, and that is a person versus environment story because car broke down, it's raining, and I still need to do what I need to do in order to get to where I want to get to. And to make it very, very clear, I 100% did not want to walk to the gym that day. I did not like.
But you did because you knew that was the adversity you had to go through to get to where you need to go.
100%.
That shows a person's character. You have every reason not to go to the gym. What do?
This man was
Go.
facing adversity to go and face adversity.
Literally, there's levels to this, y'all. It's levels.
Really, that's how it is. That the gym, that's adversity.
Imagine you get through that. It's that mental battle, and then you get through the physical walk over there, and then say, "All right, now it's time to go to war."
But you guys want to know something? It felt really, really good to do that. To say, you know what? I didn't want to go. It was raining. It was cold, but I still went and I did this to better myself, to get somewhere I wanted to do something that made me better ultimately. It felt really, really good at the end of it. Facing that adversity, going through it, especially before you start, it's the hard. Like once you start doing it, it tends to lighten up. But before you do it, that's when it's like, fuck, like I really.
That's when you realize, like just like you guys have touched on so much. People go through these things that are at higher levels as you perceive, and they've gone through these things. You don't think they feel better because they know, okay, I'm one of those people. I'm one of the ones that actually went through the adversity. Most people wouldn't go through most things like that. That's going to make you feel better about yourselves when you go through that. That's another thing. People think, oh, I'm so scared. I don't want to go through this. But once you do, you're like, oh, okay. All right. I made it past that. All right. What's next? That's how you got to always look at everything you're going through. So that's definitely kudos to you on that, man, because you got to push through.
I mean, yeah, like, why do you think the military gets so much respect? Like,
Exactly.
look at all the adversity and the crazy shit that they go through just to get to the point where just to get through basic training, you know? Like, look at all that adversity they go through and all, like, the wars they fight and all that shit. That's why they get so much respect. That adversity they went through is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, they go through some insane shit.
And it feels good as hell once you go through it.
Same thing. Like for example, for me, person versus environment. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. It's pretty rough. I also grew up in some other places in Kentucky that that are considered the hood and things like that. And we see what it is. I'm an African American sitting here, and a lot of people are like, well, when they hear me on the phone, they're like, "You're not who I was expecting. You don't sound African American, or you don't, my name Franz." And like, I thought you were German, but nonetheless,
that white guy didn't look Jamaican.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about a Jamaican guy, a Caucasian guy, crazy. Next, we want to see a Jamaican, but nonetheless, yeah, like I grew up in places like that, and I actually get people who've asked me, I've seen people get killed. I've seen all that stuff, like all that stuff you've seen in movies. I've seen that, been around it. People are like, well, how did you get to where you are? Why do you sound so proper? And my whole thing is self-awareness. I've been around that stuff, but I was aware of myself enough to understand, okay, I don't want to go down that road. Just like I said before, I don't want to go down those avenues. If I go down that avenue of being that tough guy in the street, is that going to yield me what I want in my future? Nope. Then I don't go down that street. So, like, for those of you watching who are in the hood or in tough times or whatever, that's not the end. You have ways out. Because I have plenty of friends and friends of friends that I always hear, oh man, I can't make it out of here. I'm in the hood. I'm always going to be here. I'm going to die here. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're gonna either choose to be there or you're going to choose to make a way out. Period. No matter what you're going through. If it takes time, it takes time. But you can get out of the, environments that you're in. You really actually can. It's just a matter of how hard are you willing to work to get out of that environment. And that's not just having a job and just financially trying to make it out. You got to psychologically work hard too and understand what's around you, why things are bringing you down, why are you thinking the way you are, why people in those adverse environments think the way they think, and you need to think differently. So there are so many levels to how you need to work your way out of where you are, out of that adversity. So it's There's levels to this, guys. It's levels.
I mean, ultimately keep in mind, the results are your fault. Whatever result you get are your fault. So you can't control the environment, right? We talk about absolute accountability. You can't control whether it rains. You can't control whether it storms. You can't control whether it pours. You can't control whether your neighbor decides to shoot your dog, right? You can't necessarily control that. But the results of the rough environment, right? Where you end up, your reality is a construct of your decisions, right? Despite the environment around you,
Exactly.
where you end up is your fault. So keep this in mind when outside forces try to deter you and outside forces come and they attack you and they try to hold you down. Keep this in mind. Where do you want to be? This goes back to emotions being irrelevant. I don't want to do it because my environment is this way. I don't feel like doing it because my environment is this way. It is hard. I am afraid. I am scared. I am sad.
All adversities.
I am alone. These emotions, they need to become somewhat irrelevant because despite how you feel, you still need to do the things that you need to do to get to where you need to get. You still need to act. You still need to perform. Kobe Bryant, I love Kobe Bryant too. Kobe Bryant was talking about how these NBA players are taking like days off just for rest. And he said, like, why would I take a day off? It's my job to perform. If I'm unable to perform, then I'm not able to do my job. I don't care if I'm tired. I must perform, right? That's how life is. It doesn't matter if you're tired, sick, anxious, stressed, all of that stuff, afraid, all of that stuff is irrelevant.
Exactly.
You need to perform at the end of the day.
Major
think
key,
C.T.
guys.
Fletcher put it as it's still your set. Well, technically he says still your motherfucking set. That's exactly what he says when he says about facing adversity and having those challenges in front of you. It's like, okay, well, you still got to get through it.
Yep.
You still have a set to do.
Yeah, and then the last form of adversity, and it's last, and we kind of touched it and we kind of went into it, especially when we was talking about accountability and stuff like this. But now we're going to like really dive into it, and that's going to be person versus self, right? Your biggest adversary in life, ultimately, person versus person, person versus environment. The number one adversary at the end of all of it is going to be yourself. Right.
Yep.
So does anyone want to kind of take that and go into and open up that topic?
Yeah. Like you were saying, like nobody's gonna pick you up off your fucking couch and make you go to the gym, or no one's gonna basically just like we talked about in our whole mental health podcast. Like that's all you. You got to pull yourself out of those bad times. You got to pull yourself out of your own depression. You got to make yourself get up, go to the gym. You got to bring these good habits into your life and make them stay there. Set those standards for yourself. That's all on you. Like it's not going to happen unless you make yourself do it, and you got to have that conflict with yourself. Like, no, I don't want to go to the gym today. All right, bitch, get up and do it. Look in the mirror, call yourself a bitch. Go and do what you need to do.
Good point that he brought up, habits. It only takes on average 6 months or so of continuously doing something. We're really 22.
I think it's 3 months.
That sounds more right.
Of
I think it's
Yeah.
3, but I mean for some people it's different.
I think it's 3.
It sounds more accurate, but once you develop those habits, like push yourself to develop habits of getting to where you need to be, even if it's baby steps, like he said. You need to go to the gym. Oh, I don't want. I'm tired. I worked all night.
Just drive there.
Yeah.
Because you have a car that can get you there, unlike Darian.
Yeah.
I'm just
Hey, listen.
He walked to the
it
gym.
runs
guys.
now. It runs now.
But yeah, I mean,
Sometimes
it runs. Sometimes it runs. Sometimes I
doesn't
run.
run, he'll run.
If it's not running, I'm running.
Yeah, but develop those habits, guys. Like habits is such that's what makes you disciplined. You got to be disciplined enough to create habits, or create the habits to become disciplined enough to take the steps to get to your goals, to get over your adversities. You're gonna always have adversities. That's the thing. People always think, okay, it's gonna be a roadblock, an adversity. Boom, I got over it. That's it. No. There's going to be another one, and another one, and another one. There's always going to be that. Perfect example is seen the lady in the red dress in the Matrix? You got that's a perfect example. You'll always see that lady in the red dress. That's your adversity. You gotta always look past that. Stay focused on what you need to stay focused on. It's super important. Habits are super important, and I'm still learning myself. But I have not gotten as far as I've gotten without the habits, without understanding there's going to be adversity. And for me personally, I'll sit in my car every morning as I'm driving to my job or wherever I'm going, and I'll sit and talk to God like, okay, be with me. I know there's going to be some crazy adversities coming up. I need to get through it. And these guys see me. They see me at work. I'm this happy-go-lucky. All right, guys, let's get it. Let's go. And there's tons of people that are like, oh, man, I got to do 2 hours overtime. I'm like, but you're going to have more money in your account. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
that's how me and Darian are all the time. Like everybody just like gripes about overtime a lot. We'll be like,
and stay away from negative people. You're gonna always have negative people around you. Turn everything that's negative positive, or look at the bright side of whatever's negative happening to you. I don't almost even to the point. It's gonna sound crazy, but almost to the point to where even if you get shot, God forbid, but think to yourself, oh, well, I'm alive. I mean, like that. Like, look at the positive.
It's but a flesh wound.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, and like Franz, you're like this too.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of last year, we were at work. We were literally breaking labor laws. We got in trouble for breaking labor laws for how much we was coming in. Like we would get up and be there at like 12:30 and then stay till like 5 a.m, do the same thing the next day. People would look at us and be like, "See, fuck, are you doing?"
Yeah,
Like,
that was wild.
That's the
you
thing,
doing?
because you'll always have people, and that's a perfect point. You'll always have people coming at you like, "What are you doing? Why are you working so much? Like, go home, go to your family, go." That's adversity. There's different forms of adversity.
Person.
That's person versus person, and that person versus person. Once that person leaves, guess what? It's person versus self at that time, and it becomes, okay, do I need to just go home? Should I quit? Should I listen to them? That's person versus person. You're starting to have that conversation with yourself, and always remind yourself. You need to always remind yourself and be disciplined enough to do this and say to yourself, but this is my goal. This is part of what I need to do. I need to do this. This needs to happen because this is a step down, towards where I need to go. Because I always have that. I always have people, oh, you shouldn't do this. Don't do that. You have a nice house. You're comfortable enough. Stay there. But just like we said before, the comfort zone is where dreams go to die. That's how I look at it. You need to almost stay out of your comfort zone, because if you stay comfortable, you're going to stop doing the thing that you love. And you're going to just stay in a comfort zone and stay in a smaller box. Versus when you're always outside of the box, always outside of your comfort zone, you have room to grow. That's the point of life. Grow. Whether it's mentally, financially, physically, whatever it is, grow, grow, grow. If not, you're going to be like he said, on your deathbed, having regrets. You're going to start having regrets. Even before your deathbed, you're just going to start having regrets. Well, get out of that comfort zone. Talk to yourself. That's that person versus self. Get out of that mindset and just keep pushing. You're going to have negative people around you. Don't let that negative energy in, because it will try to get in. It always will try to get in. And that's going to be that battle within yourself, because your mental is always going to be countering what your goals are, if that makes sense. You're going to be like, oh, I'm tired. But you're fighting that devil versus angel almost. That, oh, you're tired, man. Go to sleep. Go lay down. No, you need to get up. You got time. Get up. Do this. So that's how I look at it, almost cartoon-like.
That always hits me at about 7:30 in the evening.
Yeah.
When I've been done with my job, I came home, had something to eat for dinner, and now I'm sitting
Hey, I had that.
on the couch or laying on my bed watching TV, and I'm like, I can turn this off right now, and I can get plenty of work done, but I made the mistake of getting comfortable.
Bingo, because I did that last night. I got off. I got out of work. I worked like 14 and a half hours or something like that. So I got out of work, and I'm thinking to myself as I'm driving, like, man, I'm tired. But I got a client that I got to finish this logo for his business starting up. Shout out to quick plug, Bluebird Solutions. That's who the client. I was working on his logo and everything for him. You all too. And basically, I made the mistake of getting in bed with my iPad, and I started doing my work. So what happened? I got comfortable, and I was like, no, 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 no. So I sat up, even eyes dreary. I'm like, no, I need to finish this. Let's go. And it's like 11 something at night, 11:30 at night. I didn't go to bed till about 12. And I'm emailing this client back and forth. Okay, is this good? And I'm editing and everything like that. But nonetheless, I went through the adversity of thinking to myself, no, dude, you're tired. You're tired. Just rest. Do it tomorrow. I know I made a conscious decision to this client. I need to get this done. I need to do this. And I pushed through the adversity of being tired. We're human. It's going to happen. And got the job done. Client happy. I'm like, cool. Let's go to the next.
Yeah, just look over, tell your wife, hey, you see me dozing off, just slap the shit out of me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my wife, same thing with her. She has her clothing line, a makeup line, clothing line, and she does makeup on the side. She's a teacher now and all this. She faces adversity with a lot of things. The same thing. She's tired. She'll be up late doing shirts and things like that for clients. She does the same things, and we just feed off of each other's energy. So if you can have someone to work with to do that, it's a plus. But keep people around you like that, by the way.
So
that's a major key.
Let me hit a couple of things. So first off, I want to go ahead and break down that we talked about key points of happiness, like our first 4 episodes, and in this episode, we addressed accountability, discipline, your social circle, and then there's one more thing that Seth kind of grazed, and I kind of want to really get into for the person versus self, and that's going to be mental health.
Yes.
When we talk about depression, ultimately that is person versus self.
Yep.
And I've talked about this before, and I'm going to repeat it. 95% of the people who feel depressed are depressed because of the situation they have put themselves in. So a lot of people, they say, I am depressed because I am broke, because I am out of shape, because I don't have friends, because nobody likes me. But
they no longer see a hope out.
Yeah, and like ultimately, you are in control of all of that, right? So when we talk about, when I mentioned before, feelings being irrelevant, okay, life is hard. You are depressed. Guess what? You still need to wake up every single day and work on these areas that are essentially depressing you. Work on these areas that are making you upset. Okay, well, I'm broke. Okay, go to work. I think one of the dumbest or one of the most asinine things that people do when they are feeling depressed, especially financially, is they take time off work.
Detrimental.
When people are feeling
very true. When
people are feeling depressed because they are overweight, they don't go to the gym. Why are you not working out? Why are you not working on your, like, oh, I don't want to be overweight anymore. It's so hard. Why are you not working on that?
Not to mention when you do that and you're actually working, you're going to work because you have financial inadequacies, or, if you're overweight, you go to the gym and actually do those things. You're also helping yourself mentally because you're taking your mind off of staying.
It feels amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I promise.
Hitting that point, you ever hear idle hands do the devil's work?
Exactly what I was going to get to. Yeah.
You're literally just sitting around in your own pity. You're sitting around in your own self-pity. You're sitting laying in bed, playing your video games. What else are you going to do but be depressed? What else are you going to do but think about everything that you're struggling with? You're not doing anything else. Yeah. It's just going to make it worse. Get off your ass and do something.
You need to get out. You need to become self-aware to the point to where you're like, okay, do I want to be like this? No. Do I want to stay in this position? It's either you stay in that position or you don't. You do something to get out of that position, or you stay in that position. Those are your only choices. And a lot of people choose to stay in that position thinking or trying to trick themselves, I can't get out of this position. Yes, you can. Do something about it. Learn something about it. If you don't know, you got social media. If you don't, walk to the library or walk somewhere, or go to someone's house that has social media or the internet. There are so many different forms of learning and understanding how to get out of whatever predicament or situation or mentality that you're in. Go talk to someone even. Something. There's a do for what you want to do. Believe that. There's always a do or a how to understand or do what you need to do to get out of that adversity of being depressed or feeling down or all that, because I faced that myself. Anxiety, depression, all of that. I faced that myself. But what I do, I choose to do or understand. I choose to do something about it. That's the difference. Everyone goes through the same stuff. It's either you stay in it or choose to do something to get out of it.
I know it sounds stupid, but stuttering. But okay, I know it sounds stupid, but look at your dogs. Like if you have a house trained dog and it really needs to piss, it is not gonna stop annoying the fuck out of you until you take that thing outside. So like, look at how determined your dog is just to go take a piss, and you can't even get up off your couch.
Whose dog is this?
Anyone's.
Okay, he's right.
Any house trained dog. Like, I mean, like mine will come just lay his head on my lap and just whine, and then he'll just stand back, stare at me, just do whatever the hell he can, Like, look at how determined your dog is just to go take a piss, and you can't even get up off the couch.
Yeah. It's just a matter of making the choice to start. You have to start. Even if you're planning a business, creating a business, start somewhere. Just start. That's the part people never get to. It's always, I'll start this tomorrow, or I'll do this tomorrow, or someday this is going to happen. No, make that someday. You always hear people say or have this mindset of, I'll start this when it's the perfect time. I'll tell you this straight up.
You will wait until you're gray.
You will never have the perfect time to start something until you start it. Literally start it. There won't ever be a perfect time. Literally just start it and go from there. And if there's mistakes, which there will be, learn from those mistakes and continue on. But the point is, start it. If you need to do something, do it. If you need to get out of that person versus stealth stage or whatever stage you're at, start something. Start that catalyst that's going to get you out of there.
And if that first step that you thought of is too big, break it down further into something attainable.
Exactly.
If cleaning your entire house is too much for you to do in a day, then break it down to the closet.
Yep.
If the closet's too much, just fold some shirts.
Yep.
If that's too bad, pick up one sock. I dare you.
Just one.
Like, humble yourself. If you think that you're above improvement in your life of just, that's so little it doesn't even matter. No, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. I promise you.
That's why you have dreams and then goals to set you up to them. Because, like, you have to have stepping stones up to what you really want.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I always say it. Dreams, life without dreams is like traveling with no destination. You get lost, and then dreams without goals or stepping stones to those dreams is like trying to reach the destination with no navigation, right? So, I've actually reached the point now where I can talk to somebody for 5-10 minutes, and I know where their head's at.
Yep.
Right. So I'll have a conversation with somebody and I'll be like, okay, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Okay, why don't you do these things? What do you need to do these things? And by the way they're responding, I've literally hit the point to where it's like, okay, dude, fucking live an average existence. Don't be special and die, or, drown in your misery. Right. Like it's almost reached to me to where I understand that so many people have the average mindset and they're so indoctrinated to the average mindset. And I'll even call out the people.
Major key.
And I'll even call out the people watching this podcast. Like 90% of you're going to watch it. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, these guys, they're actually saying some good advice. Then you're going to go home. You're going to lay in your bed. You're going to fall asleep. You're going to wake up. You're going to live the same life that you're living, not doing anything to get better.
Yeah.
Right? Most people are going to be that way. Right? Most people are going to come to me and they're going to have these issues. They're going to have problems. They're going to be depressed. And I'm going to try to explain it to them. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. And they'll be like, well, no, I can't do that. And I'm like ultimately, like I'm still going to try to help you. But in my mind, I understand you've already made your decision. Mm-hmm. In my mind, you've already made the choice to be miserable. You've already made the choice to be depressed. If someone comes to me and they say, I'm depressed and there's nothing I can do about it, it's a clinical disease and I can't be cured. You've already made up your mind. You're depressed for the rest of your life.
Good old Cheeto Puff guy.
Yeah, good old Cheeto Puff guy. You've already made up your mind.
Yeah.
Right? You've already made your decision. Okay? And like Franz said, you either choose to conquer your demons, to be great, to be amazing, to reach high levels of success, or you choose to not to do it. Okay? It is a choice. Ultimately, it is a choice. It is on you. right? You have to make that choice. Either you make that choice or you don't. No one's going to make it for you ultimately, right? We're just here to encourage you, to push you in the right direction. We can't make that choice. If you choose to listen and, you know what, I listened to that podcast today. They said some good things. I learned a lot. And then not do shit, that's on you, right? But if you choose to listen and actually it absorb the advice and, okay, I can change and take those steps, then that's on you as well, right? Everything's your fault. Your bottom is your fault, okay? But your top will be your fault.
Exactly.
When you make your money, when you beat your depression, when you conquer your demons, when you have a good social circle, when you're driving your Lambos and Bugattis, and that's going to be your fault.
I do that a lot with people that I meet. If I'm at work or whatever, I'm talking to someone, I'll always ask them this specific question. I always ask them something that tells me a lot about them. What would you do if you won the lottery? That's something I always ask people. What would you do if you actually won the lottery?
You get some very interesting answers.
You hear a lot of interesting answers, but a lot of it seems more than half of it seems to be indoctrined.
They're going to lose their money.
They're going to lose their money. And if you look at statistically the people that have won the lottery, a lot of them have lost their money because money doesn't bring happiness per se. The same person you are without money, you're going to be the same person with money. So if you're in the habit of spending, keyword, if you're in the habit of spending money that you have now, when you win the lottery, you're going to be in the habit of spending the money that you have. If you're in the habit of saving and investing in the right things, then you're going to be in the habit. So my point of what I'm getting to is create those habits of the person you want to be. Almost along the lines of fake it till you make it, but you're not faking it till you make it. You're training your mind to become the person you want to be. And once that becomes a habit, you will start to become that person you want to be. You want to start thinking like that person that you want to be. Even if it's mentally, not necessarily even talking about financially. If you want to be a better speaker, you want to be a better person who's more happy, train yourself. Start those habits. Learn. Start those habits to become that better person. If you want to be, a better real estate agent, it's the same thing he's been doing. Start those habits. Same thing with going to the gym. Same thing with what I'm doing. Same thing with his jobs. Start becoming that better person. If it's dressing better, do that. If it's learning to be a better speaker, do that. If it's, for me, knowing how to use different programs, drawing, learning how to edit, things like that, do that. Invest in yourself. That's a big thing. Don't go out all the time. My friends want to go drink. My friends want to. Those are adversities. I know a lot of you don't want to hear that. Oh, but those are my friends. Yes, those are your friends. Are your friends helping you get to your goals? It's the same thing with families. You're going to have family. You're going to have friends that are going to be adversities too. You need to start looking at your life and be so aware of the people around you and ask yourself, are these people, or is this person benefiting me, or is this person a catalyst to my downfall? You'll be surprised. You're going to find those friends, are good friends of yours. Oh, let's go. You go to your friend and tell them, hey, I got this great idea for a business startup. What do you think? And they say, oh, let's just go get a drink. Let's go do this.
Social Circle podcast.
Yeah. You just take a look at your life and just start being aware of things around you, and to just ask yourself, am I doing the right things?
And that's just it. It's your life.
Yeah.
When are you going to make it yours?
Yes.
One thing Franz was saying, the kind of like, not really the fake it till you make it thing. Grant Cardone says this actually, a really good thing you can do is have like a notebook by your bed. And every day you wake up, you write it as in present tense. Like if you want to be a millionaire, every day you get up, you write down in that notebook, I am a millionaire, until it happens. And that can help like motivate you even more throughout the day because you're writing that shit down. Every single day you get up, you're writing those goals down and you're chasing them even more.
Person versus self. Talk to yourself as you're a better person. Don't talk down to yourself. Talk to yourself like you're a better person, literally just like what he said. Tell yourself, yes, I am going to do this. I am that person who I dreamed, who's in my mind, who I'm thinking of. I am that person now. I might be that person. Don't might yourself. I'll try. Be that person. period. Even if you're not there, become that person. Talk positively to yourself, because this is another topic, but all the way down to the molecular level, if you talk negatively to yourself, you're going to be a negative person. If you talk positively to yourself, you're going to be a positive person. A lot of people don't understand that with me. Like, again, these guys that see me at work, I'm always positive. No matter what, I'm always positive. If we've got to work all this overtime, or I got to come in extra, I got to do this, I don't care, because I know the positives of what I'm doing. You're at work, for example, I'm making more money. Yes, I'm away from my family a little bit more, but help your family, help your relationships and your spouses and people around you, your loved ones, understand your goals too, because if they don't understand your goals, they won't understand you, then you're going to create that rift. I spoke about that on our last podcast I was on. But ultimately, person versus self, you need to be so aware of every step that you're making. Make those steps. Be aware of your mentality and push through yourself. Almost push through yourself. Make yourself better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that covers just about everything. Anyone else have any thoughts, closing thoughts on adversity? Anybody?
You guys can do this. Literally, you can do this.
Yeah, no, like I always say the potential of every single person is astronomical. It's so high. Right? People can do so much. We can do so much. Every person can do so much if they choose to do.
Yep.
If they choose it.
Make that choice.
Right.
I'll say this: just know that like if your adversity is only with yourself and like trying to make yourself get up and go to the gym or start working on something, even after you do that and you make it a habit, there's still going to be days where you have to force yourself to do these things. There's still going to be those days where you have to make yourself walk in the gym and get your workout in. There's still going to be days where you have to force yourself to get on your computer and get to work. But you can face that and you can still continue to do it because you made it a habit. You're setting a standard for yourself and you're making yourself better. And once you topple that, then you'll just see how far you've came. At that point, when it gets there, like when you see how far you've came as a person, like you'll truly be glad you made yourself face these things.
And there's also going to be days where your country accent comes out more than others.
What are you talking about there, Darian?
And sometimes you'll go like a whole podcast without it, and then for whatever reason, the last thing you say is just going to be like super Winchester, Kentucky.
Warder.
It came out.
When did it come out?
When you was just talking.
Oh.
It was coming out. It was coming out pretty heavy.
Damn.
Oh, good, guys. That just means he's giving you guys straight facts from the heart.
Yeah, when Seth's accent comes out, it's real. It's real. It's as real as it's going to get.
I got that passion, buddy.
So,
I'd say the last thing that I want to say about person versus self and about facing the adversity is ask yourself, no, hold on, let me rephrase this. When you are in the middle of an adversity and you start to question why you're in this position, why am I even here at work? Why am I out here in the cold? Why am I even in the gym? Whenever you get to that question where your mind starts to realize it's more uncomfortable than it wants to be, you have to look for a hope that your life can be better. That is your why of why you're there. You have to believe that a better life is possible in order to start improving. So when you face an adversity, when you face an obstacle in your path, when you face someone else that is standing in your way, or when you're facing yourself, you have to remember that a better life is possible. You got to build it.
Facts.
It's your choice.
Yes, preach.
Hallelujah.
yeah. So, in closing, I'll post our, I'll plug our socials again. So Faith is Motivation. Guys, thanks for watching. First off, thank you guys for watching. And to everybody.
That was corny.
Thanks for tuning. I need to set my buttons up. I need. I wanna do the 6-9 button again. The stupid button. I love that
That was
button.
like the worst.
I love that button. I love that button. You're a
the
hater.
worst
See,
one.
hey, hate never comes from above. Yeah, no, thanks for tuning in. Every Sunday we're going to be back on that. We're going to be back on the every Sunday track. I think we've kind of recovered from Chris moving on and kind of getting our schedule together. So every Sunday, thanks for tuning in. Faith is Motivation podcast, or Faith is Motivation on everything. Faith is Motivation POD on Instagram. Franz, you want to plug your stuff one more time?
Yeah, again, my social media for my car content, you can find me mainly on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, but definitely YouTube. GoCardoGo, GoCardoGo, GoCardoGo. That's for my car content, my car lovers, car enthusiasts. For my tech lovers, I'm a nerd too with technology. Find me on Level Gorilla on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. More content coming through soon from that, and the studio is going to be used a lot more for that and their stuff too. So, thank you guys.
All right, y'all. I hate you so much.
really hoping it would be something good.
All right, y'all. Deuce.
What was it?
Peace.